and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Nishamanek. I'm a medical doctor, and it is my mission to unite science and spirit, the two complementary ways to knowledge. And we're coming up to the Holy Week of Easter, and this was the most magnificent scientific experiment in the history of humankind. What do I mean by that? Well, Master Jesus showed by his own example that giving up the body, he was still alive in spirit. He was spirit. And so he shows us that we too can give up bodies, but we live. We are eternal because in reality, we too are spiritual beings. And we're having a physical expression, a physical life, to experience life on earth. So Master Jesus shows us during Easter this most magnificent promise that we are in reality God's children, spiritual beings. So, welcome to Easter, and may you realize this biggest gift that Master Jesus has given us through his own example. So I wish you lots of wonderful contemplation during Easter. God bless you, and may you too realize that wonderful promise that you are spirit. God bless. So, dear friends, welcome to Holy Week of Easter. And Easter is a time, a sign of peace. A week is short, and yet the Easter week is the symbol of the whole journey that Master Jesus has undertaken. So let's go through each phase of this week, and I hope you will too awaken in yourself the sense of spirit. On Palm Sunday, people placed palm branches on the road leading to Jerusalem as a sign of victory and honor. Palm Sunday serves as a reminder of the contrast between human expectations and divine purpose. Human expectation was that Jesus would come really with lots of fanfare and trumpets and all this riches. But that was people's expectation. But he was fulfilling God's mission or divine purpose. So we have this contrast that Palm Sunday shows us. So Jesus comes riding a donkey. He was a humble spiritual teacher. And the donkey is a symbol of peace, not war. He didn't come charging with a sword and on a horse, but with a donkey. So in riding a donkey, Jesus displayed humility. Really, he was not a political king, but he was the Lamb of God. Jesus as a Lamb of God symbolizes innocence and sacrifice. And of course, we know about this famous Last Supper because it is significant as the final meal that Jesus has with his closest disciple. It was like a goodbye dinner, a farewell dinner with a profound message. During that last dinner, Jesus taught his disciples one last time. And what did he teach? And this is one more thing that is very significant. Instead of acting like a king and being served, Jesus washed the feet of his disciple. Look at the significance, the humility of this great spiritual teacher. And in washing the feet of his disciples, Jesus showed true leadership is about humility. He showed by his example and serving others. Reflect on this great action of Jesus. And here he's saying, I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Reflect on this. that ye shall do as I have done to you. And then in that Last Supper, Jesus broke bread and shared wine, telling his disciples they represented his body and blood. And Jesus' words about the bread and wine signified a new relationship between God and humanity, and which was based on grace rather than religious rules and law. Grace is when you're touched by God. Jesus knew that Judas would betray him, yet he included Judas in the meal, showing his depth of love and forgiveness of everyone, including Judas. The Last Supper introduced this Eucharist, the idea of servant leadership. Remember, Jesus is showing, as I do that unto others. So he's washing the feet of the disciples, and by showing them, he is really demonstrating the importance of selfless love, unconditional love. Isn't that magnificent? The Last Supper reminds us that, like Jesus, we can respond with humility, service, and forgiveness, even during the worst of times. Yeah, put away your differences. Put away your differences and be humble. Be of service and forgive everyone. The final supper is also like the final team huddle. He's huddling. Jesus is huddling with the closest friends and before a life-changing event where the leader sets the mission and reminds everyone what truly matters. That's wonderful, isn't it? The encounter between Jesus and Pontius Pilate is significant because it contrasts worldly power and spiritual truth. Pontius Pilate, worldly, powerful, but Jesus comes before him with spiritual truth. And when Pilate questioned Jesus, he's famously asked, "What is truth?" And this is from John 18, verse 38. Is questioning Jesus. What is truth? And again, we come through this clash between spiritual truth, which is what Jesus brings, and political power, Pilate's role. Look at the contrast. And, Jesus, in his humility and kindness and compassion, the truth in his eyes, Pilate knows that he has no reason to convict Jesus, saying, "I find no fault in him." I find no fault in Jesus, which is in John chapter 19, verse 6. So Pilate has a dilemma, doesn't he? The Jewish leaders and crowds demanded Jesus be crucified. This shows how fear and political convenience can override justice. Pilate, in fact, offered to release Jesus, but the crowd mentality chose Barabbas, a criminal, instead. So we can see here that public opinion can be swayed easily, even against an innocent person, something we must always keep in mind when we're all doing slogans and protests. Are they really for the truth? Keeping this in mind. Pilate symbolically said, well, in response to the crowd and the Pharisees of the day, he washed his hands and said he was innocent, even though he is submitting to the crowd will. This is in Matthew chapter 27, verse 24. And then the Roman soldiers cruelly put a crown of thorns on Jesus as a symbol of humiliation. If you're the king, this is your crown. Isn't it incredible? The cruelty of people to another innocent human being. The crown of thorns was placed on Jesus to mock his claim of being the King of Jews. And then the crown of thorns become a symbol of Jesus' true victory, because it really gave spiritual power over earthly power. He didn't deny the crown of thorns. He didn't complain about it. Jesus never did any of those resistance. Don't do that. Shame on you, right? Do all of these things. Rather, Jesus accepted that crown of thorns because he was of spiritual power and not some earthly power. And the crown of thorns matters to you today, because remain steadfast in the light of truth, even if you face ridicule. Become a light of truth in your life, my friend. And when Jesus died on the cross, he represents the ultimate sacrifice. We've said he shows that you can let go of this body. The body has been beat, it's been bruised, and all of the things that were done to his body. But it was the ultimate sacrifice. And the cross itself is a reminder of God's unconditional love. When people wear the cross, it is a reminder of love. And Jesus endured the cross with humility again. Didn't say anything. He carried it. He was put on it, and shows true strength from self-sacrifice rather than the power of force. This is in Philippians chapter 2, verse 8. Today, the cross symbolizes that transformation, that renewal are possible. See beyond the pain. See beyond the pain that Jesus suffered. It's a transformation that is available to you in your own life and pain. The time that Jesus spent in the tomb symbolizes the period of waiting, uncertainty, and faith. That is it. That Jesus comes back, he's resurrected, and you can resurrect and come back from whatever trials and tribulations that you are suffering. The large stone covering Jesus' tomb was miraculously rolled away. It was huge. And that nothing, not even death or human barriers, can stop God's plan. That's it. It's incredible. I feel so joyful just even reading these. Jesus leaving and walking out the tomb represents the transition from death to life, from despair to hope, the start of a new covenant between God and humanity. A covenant is vertical. It's not like a contract between humans. Covenant is the truth from God to humankind. Easter is not a celebration of the cost of sin, but of its end. The time of Easter is a time of joy, my friends. Easter gives you the vision to look past all illusions. It has given you to see no thorns, no strangers, and no obstacles to peace. May you celebrate and realize the promise of Easter in your own life, Your chosen home is not here ultimately on earth. Your home has called you since the dawn of time, but you've never failed to hear it. It's always there. You know it. And that's why you rise up year after year to hear the call of Easter. So well done, my friend. Your home is not earth. Ultimately, your home is with God.